Good morning, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal on a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's already 8 degrees here in southern British Columbia, and that would make it 46 American. A really cloudless day. Now, I understand that it's going to get quite warm today. And I was checking yesterday, what is our temperature doing versus what is Vegas temperature doing, and it would appear that Vegas is only about 6 degrees higher than we are at the moment, which is ridiculous. That would be 6 degrees Celsius, not 6 degrees Fahrenheit. So I was going, hey, we're not doing too badly. And you must know that I'm in holiday mode when I'm starting to check the Vegas weather. And I also noticed there's one day that they're expecting rain all day. And it was just like, really? I've got to pack for rain as well? Well, if it rains, we're going to stay inside. That's what we decided. What the heck? So, definitely getting quite excited about that. Now, one of the questions that I had for the viewers was, I have no idea how many of you regular viewers are in or around the Vegas area. And one of the things I said was that, if we have quite a few, then maybe we should do a meet and greet of the meet and greet, if you like, if you know what I mean. Because we will have, a number of personalities with us. So I'm not sure if that will be possible or not, but I just thought, well, first of all, we need to find out, is anybody around that would be interested in that? And the best way I can do that is to ask you guys. So if you are living in that area and would be interested, perhaps you could leave a comment just so that we can sort of see how many people would be interested. I'm having a fun lunch today. We're taking the I've had a student for the last 3 weeks, and we're taking him out for lunch today as a sort of farewell. I want to do it today rather than tomorrow, because tomorrow will be a difficult day for me, because it'll be the last day I work with him, although he'll come back on Friday and work with the rest of the team. But I don't work on Fridays. So it's going to be an interesting experience, let's put it that way. And I'm always get quite sad. You've sort of worked with a young person for 3 weeks. And he's been such a really delightful young man. And I'll be very sad to see him go. And of course, I was busy saying to him, what's it going to be like next week going back to school instead of coming to work? Because, what we did is we trained him well enough so after the first week, he basically had his own job. And he comes into work and he does his job. And he does other things in between, but basically he has his own responsibilities and his own time management and his own everything. We treated him, as I always say at the beginning, if you act like an adult, we will treat you like one. If you act like a child, we'll treat you like one. And your choice, so... And he's really done a great job of acting like an adult, and we have treated him as such. And anyway, it's going to be sad. I don't do this sort of stuff well. However, I was so busy checking how he's going to do next week, and then when he'd finished telling me that he thought he was going to be quite bored of going back to school, I said, well, imagine what it's going to be like for me. I'm going to be delegating left, right, and center, and then realize I've got nobody to delegate to. You know, after 3 weeks of just delegating everything that can be delegated so that he'd have jobs to do, I'm now going to be stuck without that. I've been spoiled. I wanted to talk a little bit about freeloading. I was hearing a story this morning about somebody who was busy complaining because they were about to be homeless. And we've all heard these stories before, but anyway, they were complaining that they're about to be homeless, and the reason is because the rest of the family is about to move elsewhere. And this person has basically been freeloading, I think is the expression, for the last year. And reality is about to hit home. And that is, you know, quite sad. So I was actually saying to my friend that, you know, maybe we're the strange ones. Maybe we haven't got this right, that we actually go to work every day and working is the number one issue. You know, get a job so you can pay your bills, when so many people seem to spend their life doing it another way. And I wondered how many of you have got friends that are doing it another way. And I started to think about it, and what I realized was that that is not an easy way to live. I prefer my freedom. And when I say my freedom, you know, there are a lot of people that say, hey, you're not free. You know, you're tied to your job, you're tied to dear Mama Sal, whatever. But, you know, you're not free. And I'm going, yeah, well, in my view, I am. You know, I am free to do a lot of things because I work, because I choose to do the things I do. And anyway, I thought it was a discussion that we might have. So if you've got any people in your life that are doing it the other way, let me know what your experience is, and how do you feel about the fact that you know, if you're out working all the time and they're not. So this young lady is in for yet another nasty shock, I think, in her life, which is sad. And she'll blame everybody except herself, of course, because that's part of the syndrome. Now, the good news is that I ended up having to take, for those of you who watched the broadcast where I was showing you the haul I got from Walmart, ready for my trip, I had to take 3 things back yesterday because they were way too big, which was delightful. And then while I was there, I thought I'd pick up another bra, and oh gosh, that ended up, when I opened the box, it was the wrong one inside the box. You're going, really? So I've got to go back yet again. But I might do that on Saturday. I don't think I'm going to bother to go back till then. So what I really am aware of is the fact that I have done absolutely nothing to lose weight. Well, I say next to nothing. I did do a little bit, but not really. So I just wonder why I'm doing this to myself, and it will be interesting to see how I cope. All right, now the thing that I did want to actually discuss today was an issue that came up in some communication I had yesterday with a friend. And what they were talking about was that somebody that they respect has heard some rumors about them that they believe to be true. And obviously, the person was really upset. And I spent some time listening to the story, because it's really important that you let people tell their story. It's part of the start of healing, is that they get the hurt out. And so I listened as intently as I could to the story as they heard it. Now, one of the things I've learned in life is there's your story, the other person's story, and somewhere in between is probably the truth. So, you know, you try and find that balance there where you listen to the story and you go, okay, fine, I hope that this is the truth, but it may not be perfectly true, because if you listen long enough, people will normally just amend it slightly, and I'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, but the question to me was, you know, how do I get this person to understand that this isn't true, what they've heard? And I said the only truthful thing that I could, which is you can't. You actually can't tell them to believe something that they choose not to believe. Life doesn't work that way. And so what I found in my experience is that if you come at it a different way, it works better. And so if somebody has heard something or is saying something about you that isn't true, then understand that that person is basically the same person you know and love. All right, and I'm presuming it's somebody you care about, otherwise it wouldn't hurt so much. And so one of the things that I'm inclined to say is, hey, you know, I've always cared and respected you. And I'm really so sad to hear that you have heard this about me and that you believe it to be true. And I obviously am not going to be able to change your mind on that, because it's what you believe. However, what I want to say is, please be careful, because not everything you heard is true. And what I was saying to this person was, you know, if there's anything in there that is true, admit it. You can say, well, you know, the bit about X, Y, and Z would be true of me, but the other bit, no, not true at all. And then say, but I respect your right to believe it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to honor the other person's right to believe a bunch of lies, because that's human nature. And then what I found works really nicely is if you then say, I'm hoping that in time you will get enough information about this from other sources that will let you know that this wasn't true. However, in the meantime, I just wanted to let you know that I still care about you and would like to remain a friend. And that's all you can do. The rest of it's up to them. You know, we actually think we've got to fight people to make them believe the truth when it's not true. And so it's much easier if you just say, hey, I know you've heard this, I know you believe it. I'm really sad about that, because, you know, most of it isn't true. But it's okay. I understand your right and respect your right to believe it. Just I hope one day in time you will realize that maybe that wasn't all true, and that we can still be friends. And then let it go. And what I was saying to this person last night was that, you know, if there's enough friendship glue, and I call it glue, if you've got enough friendship glue holding your friendship together, that after a little while, the friendship will start to rebuild again, the trust will start to rebuild again. What's happened at the moment is there's a loss of trust. Now, I had this happen with a friend of mine, and it took nearly a year before I could even start to rebuild the trust. Because what had happened was so heinous in my mind. It was really horrid. And I really had difficulty, but I just had to work my way through it. And it took me nearly a year before I'd even contemplate what was going on here. So what I try to explain is this is a choice we make, and we can hold on and spend our morning, noon and night trying to convince them otherwise, when really they're not going to. Or you can just say, hey, part of it's true, this part, the rest of it, not so much. I just wanted to let you know that, and maybe you could consider that. But in the meantime, I don't hold this against you. I will do what I can to deal with this and still be a friend, if you choose to do that. Now, they may not. They may choose to say, gosh, what they've heard about you is so wicked that they don't want to be a friend anymore. That's their right. And most of us get so bent out of shape because we think, well, you know, we won't be able to get another friend. Well, hello. Yes, you will. If you put yourself out there. People have always said to me, how can you have moved countries the way that you have and totally left family and friends? And I've done it a number of times. And I've said, actually, I do it fairly easily. And I don't think I could so much now because it's different for me now. But in my younger days, I did it quite easily. Why? I've always been somebody that made friends easily. So that never feared me that I would move to another country and not make friends. I knew I would. So we look at this all, and it's all about who you are as a person. And I had really gratifying little moment with Carly yesterday, who was talking about the fact that, you know, she basically is a pretty happy person, and she's taught herself to do that. But she said, you know, that every now and then she gets quite bent out of shape and she nearly gives up. She nearly gives up. And I'm certain a lot of you know that feeling. And she said there's just this little bit of something left that keeps her moving forward. And I wrote back to her and I said that would be hope. That little bit of something is called hope. You hope that it's going to get better. You hope that tomorrow will be a better day. And she came straight back at me and said, absolutely, now that I look at it, yes, you're right, that's what it is, it's hope. I hope things will improve. And so one of the greatest things that you can do in life is to still have hope. People can take away so many things, and I think if you got to interview the people that have been through earthquakes or tornadoes or whatever, the ones that really amaze me, and I'm certain amaze you as well, are the ones that have just lost everything, and they're still within that first 24 hours, and undoubtedly they're still in shock. But when the interviewer talks to them, they say, hey, we've lost everything, but the main thing is we're alive. You see, in that statement they're saying, and that we can rebuild. Some of them will also say, we're alive and we can rebuild. You know, it was just things, it's not people. Yes, we lost all our things, but we luckily held on to our people. So, if that is true for them. And so their hope is in the fact that they know they've got the mental fortitude to be able to rebuild their lives. And that's a great thing to live your life by. So, lots of different stories here today. You know, when you tell the truth to somebody about the lies they've been told, you're hoping that one day they will go back to seeing you differently. So a lot of our decisions and things that we do are based on hope. And by the way, again, if they choose not to, that's their loss. That's sad, but you know, it's their right and their loss. This is dear Mama Sal saying bye-bye for now.